Shall we start? Welcome to the Contact Council. With very apologies. Yes.
Apologies.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm still Brian Brown.
I don't know if it's got any declarations of interest, but I think that's on the agenda today. No. So we'll start with the minutes of the meeting. And the February meeting, item 4.
Stephen. Councillor Atkins talked a lot about this, but on the fourth paragraph, sort of mentioned again at the end of the meeting. In paragraph 4, third line of paragraph 4, number 7. Just says Councillor Atkinson, full stop. That's it.
Right, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Delete that.
So, are you can I have a second, please? Yes, thank you, Patricia. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Next item is Clark's update. But Jean is not here, but I'm sure that Nathan can use everything that.
There is no Gina being on that.
Okay. Item 5 is public forum, but we've got one members of the public here, so we'll move on from that. So, item 7 is report from the Borough and County Council, and we've got Sarah's report here.
Just highlight a few important things on this. Obviously, we had a whole series of planning updates. The Prague Highway 3D pitch was refused after the recommendations, just because there was the dispute about noise. And 2 sets of consultants agreed, and the environmental team went together. So, see what happened with that. The Keithley Road Conservation Area, top on there, overwhelmingly positive, lots of responses, 93% positive. So most of the people who said they don't have any questions even didn't really have anything material to relate to. It was more a case of what about wounds and bottle. So that went down well. We've also got the Cone area of funding allocations. There's a series of made there to various projects. The town centre railings and fingerposts repainted, lots more things with signage as well. So that campaign continues. Make the town look nice and sparkling. The other thing that the town looks sparkling is this town of culture. So again, more meetings have been held on that one since the cities have been written. So there's a whole series of things coming together to put that PD, and obviously lots of engagement public for our survey. From what we can all see in the press, there's a whole load of places I think there should be the town of culture. So there's going to be a fierce competition battle amongst, even just the local town. I think they're only doing it. As well. Well, there we go. Everyone's having a go. And the only other thing, anything else? Sarah's request at the end. So we want to get the treasure on town as well staffed and supported as possible. And obviously, she's also going to carry on the street signing, which I mentioned, which is May time, new budget, see what else we can do together.
So, issue that with we can a nice little article together for our next newsletter. And also the meeting with the Lancashire Archive. I've had another word with them, David, and we went to some of the 200 metres where I saw, and she has, Sarah's seen them, there's loads and loads of leaflets for every political party, And they were absolutely gobsmacked. He said, these are gold. We want more of them if you've got them. Because he said, we have nothing like this in the archive, with no memories, no history of how leaflets were written, what sorts of things were put in, etc., etc. So,
all the promises that were made. Yeah, that I never bet.
so they kind of thought it was just rubbish, but oh no, what wrong? We've not got anything like this. So I think we've got some more that we can give them as well.
Fair enough.
Any today,
Just while I'm here on the item 10 on the Borough Council's report, line 3. We asked all those people attending to fill on the questionnaires.
Should we fill in?
Should not been fill in. I found a title, first one.
Hello. We'll give you a badge.
So,
So the job scale badge. And so is on the t-shirt. Okay.
no, I showed them some notes. No more questions. Well,
okay, thank you, Ian.
Thank you. Just a small one. On the recreating of the finger posts, I think these are finger posts giving direction to various locations.
It's the one outside Bath's church.
I came up with this over 20 years ago. I never think it's a great time, but it never ever happened. On these finger posts, where it says like railway station or bus station, to give the distance to that place, which is done in many, many towns. Because it's okay, look at the sacred side, I said, oh, bus station, what are coming that far? 20 minutes walking later, it turns out it's half a mile. Just an idea.
No, we're that far from Bath. so-
No, just saying, find it,
Yeah, no,
it feels like a railway station from the town centre.
it's a hell of a time, yeah.
Yeah, if it's given distance, I think I'll catch the bus now.
Yeah, if you're doing a new finger post, we'll add it to it. But we will carefully write it on, make sure.
To me, then, exclusion of the public, to determine during which items, if any, the public are to be excluded from the meeting. Such an exclusion would be to be on the grounds that, in view of the nature of the business to be transacted, if the public were present, there will be a disclosure to them of exempt information given within the schedule 12A up to the Local Government Act 1972. And we have item 23 as a private item, which will require discussion and decision in private.
Yeah, and I'm not saying.
No. Now you say, Sarah is in place, that we don't necessarily go on that. But if depending on the way the conversation goes, if we start discussing things that could be commercially sensitive items, then at that stage we will stop and go into the private session and start again.
Okay, is
Now,
everybody?
now you can put
Yes. Everybody in favour? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
quite out.
Item 11 is finances. Any questions on either of these reports in the expenditure of the budget items? Yes, please.
On the list of papers, can you just remind me how much the total is going to be for the heating system?
Heating system.
Installed. 10 grand. What grand total we're looking for?
I think it was roughly around about 65. Yeah, so we paid most of it just leaking issues.
And what's the timing of the work? By chance, really.
It's almost done.
Right.
So the new boilers are in, they're up and running. There's just some tweaks with the control system where we'll have access from our PCs, because it allows you to program schedules into the boilers. It also allows you to boost certain rooms with add one-off sessions, which should improve efficiency.
Good.
Anything on
Chair, just to clarify, contractor did ask the because there were a few teething problems of getting the apps set up so that people could control it, well, staff could control it from the phones, etc. Because that hadn't been done, myself and you then decided that we owe some of them there until such time as they had completed all that, and it was how we were at.
Satisfied?
Right, our attention, yeah.
Maybe on the budget.
On the budget, obviously I noticed there's a few unders and overs, obviously in different areas, so I'm sure they'll probably even their way out. We confident we're all right for the year end, not going to be surprises in the last few weeks.
Nothing to do.
No,
Good, no, I'll move the bill.
Thank you. Now have a second bit. Take have a second bit. All those in favour? 1,000 financial register, which is item 10. Two,
Key points. Should I discuss them now or should I discuss them offline with you? Nothing, I mean, general point, a bit like we did with the corporate measures. We've already gotten a lot of things in place. Not as much as the corporate restructure, but there's a few of these ones where we're doing the sorts of things that we should be doing anyway. And if you think about it as well, if you look at, for example, look at number one, banking. If you say how the risk is managed at the bank, the middle of this, you say the likelihood is of 3. That means there's a greater than 50-50 chance of going wrong next year. And is that really the case? And similarly, with other ones where the risk is, if you look at number 11, rental, again, you know our rental properties are going through a bit of a state of flux, doing some up, etc. We have lots of tenants and lots of good tenants. But if you say the likelihood is of 4, that means we've got a problem 75 to 95% likely, and it will happen a few times a year. So I think again, we're probably, we've got in place the fact that we've got a good body of tenants, we've got in place, we've got good banking arrangements, reputable banks, good schools, etc. So there's a few things there we can take a bit of credit for. So that's the main general one. We've got a few other bits and bobs here and there I can feed back in. But otherwise, it shows we're in pretty good nick in terms of the things we do. Then a lot of the end column, which is basically the action point list to do in the next year or so to make it as safe as possible. A lot of them say continue doing this or continue doing that. That means we're already doing them anyway. And a lot of them say no change to existing code, which is good. That means we've got what we can physically to make that nice and safe. There's one or two others as well where the numbers, for example, number 18, we're talking about PAYE, national insurance being paid over. There's a lot of things there about for RFO to receive training to ensure adequate cover should the finance officer be unavailable. We've really only got 2 people, so in a sense, both of them should be able to do that kind of stuff. You look at 17 and 18, it's all about getting cover. So if one of them, fall under the proverbial bus or whatever, it's just not built, dangerous to know, then you've got somebody who can step in there. And whilst if you look at number 20, look at checkbook signing and online, a lot of companies do have that sort of 2-step verification where I'll raise the transaction and you can then authorize. It's a good way to split down the people. If you only have a team of 2 doing it, it only takes one of them to be off or away or on holiday, and you're totally stuck. You're left dangling with something you can't do. If that falls time for its payroll, paying bills or whatever, then you've really got a problem. So whilst it would be good security, it's unfortunately one of those ones whereby the right of production. Getting any extra safeguards. And they're the points in general.
Have you got anything to say, councillor? No? Well, should we, if it's not correct, then we shouldn't have a proposal second event for the actual things that need altering.
I think the thing, generally, is if you make to the council last night,
Yeah.
please.
Defer it and shape it.
Chief viewing or tell them to other.
Are we in agreement that we defer this?
I think,
until the next one?
to change. I can see where David's coming from, some of the things he said. Some of them are a little bit on the low side, and perhaps penalising ourselves in the actual document. On the other hand, I'd rather than be that way, that we overconfident and not picking up what some of us saw. But for the amount of work that Jean has put into this, I think it would be unfair of them to change it when she is unfortunately off sick. So I would rather defer it to the next council meeting to make the decision there and defer it from there.
If you think of the overall, FES looks at things
Yeah.
regularly, you go through things, not bound mistakes or whatever, so, you know, she and Steve are running a tonic ship. And when it comes to here, we got the numbers presented, everybody understands them, we know what we're heading towards, so,
Yeah,
we're not going awry.
when you were speaking about it, I had a thought that she's been overprotecting or being too sort of pessimistic perhaps, and, but that's better than being
It is,
the
but
other
I
way.
mean, carefully optimistic and late, you don't want that.
Right. So we'll do then that. We all agree that we'll wait till June comes back and then bring it back to the next meeting. Okay. Item 11 is Coal Town Council internal controls.
Being very useful in highlighting things in yellow, which is good. Just a few things with a fresh read. In number 6, we talk about having a corporate risk register reviewed annually. So we should do the same in number 7 as well. So we talk about financial risk management, just talk about financial risk register reviewed annually as well. We should again take credit for that as a good thing. So having a financial risk register annual review number 7. Small typo in 7.3.3, part G. It should not be payments above 10,000 to 15,000. It should just be payments of 10,000 to 15,000. 7.3.5, we've got on H. We talk about making all the necessary payroll returns. We also got a payment as well, unfortunately. So payroll returns and payments, I would suggest there. 7.3.5.
So on page 7.
And it's payroll returns and payments, without the and payments. Over in 8.2, about our fixed assets. Town Clerk maintains a full asset and risk register. They're two different things, but we've got somehow an asset risk register. I mean, I know we maintain a full asset register, but the asset register, I think the risk register is separate. I would suggest potentially deleting and risk in 8.2.
But Chair, doesn't she actually also to maintain the risk register as well? So
Well, yeah, that's covered earlier, isn't it, in the corporate financial. So it's in there in terms of, you know, what are our assets and custody of assets.
I understand where you're coming from, but there also is a risk to some of the assets. I'm thinking that's a correct statement.
If it was, then it wouldn't be a full asset. That's one thing. I mean, an asset registry is a list of all your assets and their values in the books and their locations, etc. So so one of the controls later on to be able to go around and periodically check they did and good maintenance. So it helps you with maintaining your assets, monitoring them, and obviously identifying where and maintenance, preventive maintenance. Needed.
Chairman, it could read just a full asset register. The risk part actually belongs to the item previously.
So I thought. So delete the words and risk in 8.2.
But make sure that we hope the risk register is in the previous item when that comes back in the room.
Yeah. The question really on 11.2, what about operational risk management? It says to reduce this, in the end, 11.2, to reduce this risk, there is a need for standard operating procedures to be developed. And do we have them already? I suppose in terms of how to do things and how to do them, how to get them right and all that sort of thing. Again, perhaps we could say to reduce this risk, standard operating procedures have been developed.
No.
It should say there is a need for standard operating procedures to be developed and in place for each area of work carried out.
So that's an action point.
Yes.
President.
No, there's a need to have it in place. It doesn't say we have or haven't. There is a need to have it in place.
Yeah, true. True.
We're fulfilling the need, but there is a need for it to be there.
Yeah, we need to have them, and we've got.
And we've got them.
Yes. The other one was a small typo in appendix 1. Appendix 1, part 5, part F. For invoices raised promptly and accurately after an appropriate trigger event of the Paris. Thank you, Paris. Well,
So,
the only other thing is compare number 11 to number 12. You want to have a standard front cover.
you mean some are bold and some are different,
Yeah.
Whatever it's
So
called.
our portfolio of control
Yeah,
documents.
yeah.
Multi-document. Choose one and go for it.
It's there.
Other than that, I'll move on.
Okay. So you're moving those two there, the internal controls. We have looked at reserves and treasury management.
Just the internal control.
Right, okay. Now the second, taking it, all in favour. Item 12, reserves and treasury management policy. So,
So this one, obviously it's all about our policies and procedures and setting some headlines and giving ourselves some guidance. The only thing I'd be careful is if you look at the bottom of that first page with 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, you give a lot of stuff about how many months of this one, how many months of that, and we want, etc. We're doing a lot of that. And then, if you then look at, for example, over on section 6.3, you then give an update there about we should have 25% and we should have 16.5%. We're sort of constantly tackling the document with too many figures. They should all be in sort of one place. They should be almost like a guidance thing, as in you should have 3 months of this, full stop. And then I suggest that we monitor it by actually putting it on the front page of the document that contains it all, which is this one. So we've got this of reserves here, we've got this of bank balance, etc. So we should then say the policy says X thousand pounds, and we've got Y thousand pounds. Therefore, we're roughly in track. So we can make this document mean a lot more by showing how we're monitoring these things. Rather than just once a year, always 20%, it should be 25%. Why don't we do it so that we actually use those policies we decided upon, which all seem fair in a number of months, etc. We should monitor that on this sheet. So this sheet means more each month, but we can then do a better monitoring of the as well. So that's one potential thing. In number 5, got a view of council's expenditure being over 1.5. Point there, yes. The precept approaching 1.3. Well, funds have actually hit 1.1. Again, not to change the numbers up there. Or you might just leave it and say, given the size we've got and the precept we've got, we recommend that this should be the following. Again, if you don't put yourself down the lines here, you use that document.
We're on page 12.
Oh, page 5, that's page 5, section 5, page 5. I've got some numbers in there which, again, if you compare it to that page, they're slightly different. 6.1, there's an apostrophe in council balance sheet at the top. But if you look down at the guidance about are we going to build up reserves in the future, that right-hand column there. Again, it seems sensible. We want to build up certain things. So if you take the first one, the Cricket Community Centre, yes, we want to build up the reserve for that because at some point we're going to spend it. So we'll build up and then get spent, and then build up and get spent. It's not going to build up forever and ever. Otherwise, that's not a proper plan of maintenance. One small correction you might put down near the bottom, you've got bad debt. It said maintain it around 5% of income. Then I say that the non-precept income is about 300,000, then our reserve there of 9,500 is 3% of 5%. So we can maintain it around 3%. Another one to use the budget summary for, over on page 11, we've got this table of all our bank accounts and what we're using for. So again, being able to match up which account which with our target here, I think will be a good thing. We say we've got some targets here about 10,000, 20,000, 3 months overall. Do those bank balances accord with that in terms of are we enacting our reserves management, treasury management policy? Again, being able to identify which account which. I mean, I don't know which the Lloyd's 32-day notice account is. The same is true of the treasurer's account. Which one's that? So again, just understanding which one's which. You might get meeting all on campus tomorrow. So all the pages after that are just boilerplate attempts. We all know?
Yeah, it would be really much easier if you could go and see Junior and talk about these things. Or come back onto the FBS maybe.
In terms. Other than that, I'll move into those questions.
Chair, one of the things we've got to be very careful on is people that it's really possibly are technically not available for anything else because of the law. Go council from
Yes, you grant so you grant building available.
So you've got to be careful there. You can have the amount reserved, but it's got to be a reasonable amount that you think you may need. If you're already to be actually penalising yourself. In theory, you expect to say you reserve it up, you go there, get the chance to go.
Well, you could, as you say, you could put some of them as fully earmarked, committed, going to be spent for definite, and others are the more flexible pots in the event of.
It's good to say they're not available.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put them around.
So we have was in second, well, you proposed it clearly that in the third nutrition bank, but can I have I'll take Patricia, all those in favour. Thank you. Well, the next one is so publication scheme.
in the middle column with all the things, basically it's free if you go on the website and you charge it for paper copy. If it's free on the website, should we convert those website brackets governance section brackets contact us and governance? Should we convert those to links, proper links? Like we've got the website above.
We're supposed to be getting a new one, or looking at getting a new website.
The only reason we can't put it is because normally investigating a new council website.
Right.
Which once we've got a new website, those links will be added and brought back.
Yes. No, that makes sense. No point in it on that. Okay. The end column is all in a different font. The little one, really. Top of the third page, which says class 3. What our priorities are and how we do it. What's the town plan? That the neighbourhood. It's in the May annual parish meeting. The town plan. Colour.
I think when we do the annual parish meeting, we always discuss plans for the following year, what we'd like to achieve,
Right.
and that's what it's referring to.
Okay. There's a free missing on class 4, where it's got class 4 itself. You've got and then your word job at the end column. Other than that, fair enough.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I think that charter is largely right.
You seem brilliant. Fine.
the next item is current annual parish meeting, but Ian's not here, so I don't know whether we've got to get them to or not.
So it's discuss sort of plans for the annual parish meeting. Obviously previously we've invited both community groups along, we've had the event highlight videos put together to showcase the event held, and then obviously plans for the future. It's just to see if anyone's got any ideas or suggestions on what we can do. Gina is suggesting doing it on a different day to the May full council meeting. She's suggesting the week before, but we've not set there. So we know what plans are.
You say, oh, just be
Well, I keep putting at the end of the Murray Council's report that we need to be reaching out more to community groups because they will help us staff and invigorate our treasure on tap.
oh,
Yes.
I've asked Kayla to put it on the next newsletter.
I think we need to formally approach them. And actually, a great way to formally approach them, I hope nobody was watching this, is to sneakily invite them, as we did a couple of years ago, to the parish meeting. Actually, I thought that was really affirming because people just spoke about the things that they do in Cairn. And I saw people sort of networking afterwards and saying, oh, I can help you with that. And we do a bit of this. And CAG came along, all the different groups came along. I thought that was really lovely. And it's like part of the town council. I'd love to sort of repeat that if that can be done again. And we can sign them up to be part of the sort of treasure our town thing and ask them, you know, what are the top times for you and things like that. So that we have a little Cone army that we certainly will need after local government reorganisation.
I think that's a good idea. And I think also we could put it on the newsletter, just saying what Trevor our town is and say we go to every ward, you know, and so that might encourage more people. Yes.
I think Gina was minded to want to have the annual parish meeting separate as Nathan has suggested. I would suggest it's the week before. One thing you've got to remember with the parish meeting, it has to be within a certain down scale. There's only a certain down that you can have. So the week before would be okay. And the other thing is down will be, it has to start at 6 o'clock. That's the rule.
Can we leave it up to, Julie to talk to everybody and then find something that, everyone can,
I would think probably the week before. That'd be the best time for us. But it does have to be 6 o'clock. I don't know what happened, it's just down in legislation, so.
Gina has suggested either the 13th of May or the 14th of May. So those dates work for everybody.
is open.
It's a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Well, the Thursday's Kent Area Committee, so it's Wednesday the 13th.
Maybe they'll have to do the 13th.
Which is 6 p.m. Okay, you've got this phone blue. I'm going to attend to workshop and what we're going to take in this month and what the plans are for the next 6 months.
Well, you can see from the report that the troughs are blooming, and I hope the daffodils are petite this year, and I think it's worked really well in the troughs. We've got a great guy down at Langley who's doing an awful lot of work, unfortunately mainly on his own. It's again that issue about volunteers. So I'm hoping that next month, we can get some cards out, maybe some little business cards to distribute, because we do get people that are stopping and saying, oh, that looks lovely, and it would be good to get those out. We've been doing a lot of cleaning of equipment and lots of cleaning of the chops and taps. So if anybody's got anything that looks like needs to be replaced, then just let us know. We're going to be doing painting of some of the containers next month. I think we've got volunteers to do that. That's great. And big thank you to the Lensman, who's been doing the cutting of the grass at Plymouth. It's been lovely, and we've been, Martha and I have been doing some tidying up of Plymouth this morning.
Thank you. Yeah.
The towers that were located on the Eagle Station, we're now discussing with Pendle back here, so Glenn's going to come up tomorrow. They'll be stored here until we get them back in place, or obviously relocate them to another area.
And can I thank you? Yes, and your leadership and yes, for all and all the volunteers. Yeah, so thank you. Called Junior Choir. Council, sorry. I was listening quite yesterday. Yes.
Well, I didn't actually attend because I wasn't needed. It was a talk by Pendle Council on the food waste scheme. And apparently it was really, really well received. But now what the junior council is doing is that every other time they're not meeting here, they're meeting in their schools. So that was one of the schools ones, so I didn't actually. But I think that they will have gone to Ecotown. I think they will have gone to Ecotown by now. So next month there'll be a report on that.
There was many others that Blackburn Ashley asked him, let's see. Right, next item is the Blues Festival. Just an update of tickets again.
So I picked, so 158 tickets and 33 camping pictures. We're expecting the full lineup to be announced beginning of April. We can then expect an increase of sales. That's where we're at the moment.
Okay, anybody any questions about the balloons? No? Okay. Be about the same as last year at this time with the ticket sales.
Yeah, roughly.
That's one question.
Yes, Andy?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the festival early bird. You've got, festival early bird, don't you? Left to sell -3.
It was because there was 50 on sale initially, and then there's a couple that's been coming since the beginning. Since we started with the early bird tickets, we've always got early bird tickets to the day they go on sale. And this year she didn't see that they went on sale. She didn't get an email about it because there was an issue with mail software that we use. So the gesture of will allow us back.
So just answer that, that's fine.
Okay, anything else? Item 18 is common neighbourhood plan.
My goodness, never been in this position before. Our new consultants raced ahead, finished all the wording, responding to the current National Planning Policy Framework, and also the new Pendle Local Plan. We had a very long meeting and we went through all the sections and said, we tweaked it, didn't we, Alex? We said, what about this and what about that? And they explained where our ambitions couldn't be realised within the NPPF, and where they could, and they were looking at making changes, and they are so rapid. So we have to pre-see various sections of our old plan to keep the main thrust there, but to have that work as an evidence base, so that our new plan is much slicker and shorter and easier to read for the person who is the time developer. So it's more hard hitting and you're not wading through the evidence base, it's clear in the policies. So I've got to do that. And also I have been doing the non-designated heritage assets. Every single time I think I've finished the non-designated heritage assets. Somebody puts on social media, you've forgotten this one. One woman said, I don't know why it's taken me so long to get around to this one. It's like, really? So at the weekend we went out and we did a shed load more. I don't even know how many we photographed, and I really thought it was it, but inevitably I put it on Code Lancashire now and then, and already somebody suggested another one, and I've actually thought, oh no, not another one in capital letters. So it actually will take me a couple of weeks to do this current backlog. We have given out jobs to other people, so we've got people mapping the assets. We've got, what else we've got as jobs? We've given out jobs. Alice is doing an analysis of the upper floors, which is part of our new evidence base. So we actually do have a lot to do. We need to get to that point where we're doing all of that and getting it nearly finished. Then we need to have another meeting, and hopefully at that point it'll just be things that we have to be doing, what I would call not the work but the sort of consultation. So obviously in terms of the new designated heritage assets, that's writing to all the property owners and that kind of thing. It's making sure. So David pointed out that bizarrely, I just don't know how this happened. We've got 2 bowling greens there as sports facilities, and we haven't got the Arking Coast one. I don't know how that even happened. And then we're also looking now at listing not only sort of community assets, things like SEAG and the ambulance hall, but also listing bits of land that they don't have a designation, they're not nature reserves, but they're known for something. So they're known for, I would say Give Hill is a nature reserve. It's known for a particular sort of orchid, or the Lower Rough is known for its curlews, as is the reservoir at Foliage. So it's highlighting those special areas. So actually that work is ours. And then at that point, when we've done all of that, it's checking all the maps, checking all the references, and then we'll be going out, hopefully this summer, to the dreaded Regulation 14, which is when we drop flyers in shop. I'm hoping that you're going to help. We drop flyers in shops, we do things on social media, we hold events, dropping in at the town hall. Obviously, it's not as complicated as the first time we did it, but it is extra. We have got extra local green spaces, we've got extra non-designated heritage assets, we've got extra policies, and of course our policies have changed because the legislation's changed. But I still feel really happy that we're on it, and we'll give a new plan when there's a new authority.
Thank you. Any questions? Patricia?
Yes, thank you. I know you're going on great about all your heritage and everything else. I just want one thing. In the neighbourhood plan, what it looks like. I'll put like, because, but are we not one particular asset of payments or what's that, what sidewalks, however you want to terminology. Wheelchair access, permeable access.
All right.
Mobility student access, the drop curve.
Okay.
Because there are too many areas within Cole that are not. And it is a nightmare.
Okay.
Because there are, I'm not just talking about the likes of people in wheelchair, I'm talking about dogs, myself, who are disabled. We've got a lot of elderly members of the, sorry, Brenda, I forgot you. We've got a lot of elderly residents within Cole. They might not be able to get up 3 inch curve.
Okay.
We need
an accessibility policy.
We need an accessibility policy within the neighbourhood plan.
Okay. And when you were sort of speaking, I thought you were going to talk to me about quality of pavements, which isn't really.
No, that's not our unique. What our unique is the accessibility within Cole for our residents.
Well, take advice on that, whether it's town centre or what we can do. Sometimes Ian Robinson is very depressed because he's got an idea, and then the experts say not within planning. So let's see what I can do, and then I'll write to you separately when I've taken my advice on that.
Okay, thank you.
Also, I didn't mention, Mary, that of course we did submit our response to the new National Planning Policy Framework, and we got it in on time, 225 questions, and our experts felt that so many people were responding to it, and it's such a big change from the last NPPF. In fact, it will be a long time. They were talking about autumn or later before there'll be a new NPPF, because there's so much to assimilate, but at least we got our code response in.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know how we should come on to this one. We're looking at heritage assets, etc. We always think of building. What about streets? I'm thinking of one street called out, I may be wrong, I know I am, that is totally unique. I mean 100% unique. If you look at it, it's a front street. Until you look carefully, and it isn't. It's actually, there are two totally separate sets of commons on the street. One set of commons is a front street. The other set of commons is a back street. There's no boundary between the two. One of them is the front street of Doughty Street. The other set of commons is back Patton Street. So technically, you've got an unadopted street and an adopted street on the same street. Work that one out.
So we do actually have something called special character areas, and Keighley Road was an example of things that we call special character areas, and we have 3 of them. And we're hoping that 2 of them will go into conservation areas. So I'm quite happy to come along and look at and I'm sure Councillor Thomas will say that they are sets. I will come along and look at the sets in the 2 streets and see if they're special enough.
It's one street.
Okay, that's all right. See if they're special enough to be a special character area, because that's possible within the neighbourhood plan.
No, totally separate goals. Great, it's not just one of the goals, it's 2 totally separate types of goals.
Just one from me. So I mentioned about the NPPF. And I just say we do deserve to give her a big round of applause for that one, because answering 225 questions with all research in 8 solid days, which is a lot of time. I spent only a mere day or so reviewing it. Even Gina spent several hours having to upload each question one at a time to the portal. So an awful lot of work went in on that one, and well done. Sadly,
Just to find out for those that don't know, County Street is not there, it's grass.
But the streets still exist.
Yeah, streets.
Actually, we still paying ground rent on the property.
Want to planning. Slash 0126 HHO, it's 90 Castle Road, Crome. Erection of a structure porch, single story rear extension of patio area, alterations to land level, including erection of a retaining wall. Any comments? Issue? No issues? Okay. So the second, please, take how many of the vote that Patricia's a second, all those in favour? Thank you. The second one is 26 stroke 0090 stroke LHE. It's 26 Bridgefields Code. It's permitted development there. Is there any issue with that? No?
It's big, it's permitted, so.
So, proposer. Thank you. And the seconder? Sure. It's 26 stroke 0131 stroke FUL. It's Plymouth Primary School Town Street Code. It's replacement of existing perimeter fencing at gates. Yes, sir.
Well, this is a non-designated heritage asset in the neighbourhood plan, and the description specifically mentions the schools retained. And really beautiful. I had a look at them again on Street View. They've got radial gates with little sort of spikes on top with sort of semicircles. And all of that is to gone. Just fit. Those railings have been there since 1900. And they're quality. I don't know, I mean, I'm not suggesting that the school put them down to a reclamation yard, but they'd make a fortune if they did. They'd be worth it. I just feel that it really besmirches heritage asset in Coma, and I think it's in our neighbourhood plan. It really removes the character of the school. It will affect the street community as well as the school itself.
Yes, Ian.
Chair. Mary says is right, because this is Lancashire County Council Education. Well, I've been told in the past they don't actually need planning permission, they grant themselves planning permission. So when this is not in here, this is just for our comments. No matter what we say, I'm not going to think they can do what they want. But I agree, I think we should object to this strongly on the grounds as Sarah points out, it is detrimental to local heritage, etc., etc. You know, we should make a strong statement on this.
Any other comments? Alice, any other comments?
Yes, I agree, I don't think we should be moving things at all. Okay, I think it's probably because of safety. They want an area where balls and football railings, but this is not the way to do it. You can put in cages inside. There's all other options that need to be considered rather than this lovely stuff.
You got that, Rebecca? The meeting that we put, I haven't passed yet, but I will all say that we object.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll propose that we have that. How much choice? How much still LCC or is it not? Academy,
That's why they were
Still objecting to,
yeah. What's the return?
it's not in.
I mean, obviously, Alice sort of suggested, and I have heard about people breaking in, and actually, you have to be quite clever because the railings would stop them breaking in. But they could just put it inside, that sort of very dark green that would disappear from the eye, rather than replacing all the gates, all the railings. It could just be inside, and then the function is there, but the historic fabric remains.
Not the West Street.
Yeah.
But are we suggesting that or just saying we objected?
So we could suggest that, man. Yeah, we suggest it.
Have you got that, Rebecca?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is 26 stroke 0042 stroke LBC. It's landlord for assisted building consent to insert some support leaves the roof.
It's not the whole.
It's not landlord law, it's
No, it's the farm, it's
the farm
yeah.
in
further down,
the little.
where the cottages and
Yeah,
the
I think the hamlet is too big for it. I think we haven't any choice really, because read the report, I thought, well, it's one of those girls slam the door. Because if you do, it's only too hard, I find. But October, well, not slaves, but it will be. Stone.
doing a lot of work to the, it's like a farmhouse there, isn't it?
These evenings, Chairman, I expect that we should be falling down.
The fact is 26 stroke 0106 stroke FUL. It's 3 Church Street, Colmans, to replace the existing shop front, glazing, installation of a balustrade to front roof edge, and replacement windows.
It's
Santander.
Santander, and it's Marsden Roads, yes, it shows it on there. I hope that doesn't mean they're shutting down building further than the road. So. And the old Corn Building Society building, and many presenters with the problem. Really, this it's been a bank. It won't be in Irish red. If that comes the true colour, it's quite neutral. I don't think we can object. Other than say, don't should be.
No comment on this building, but I do actually think separately town council that we ought to write to the Marsden Building Society, because the building they're in at the moment is a non-designated heritage asset. I don't know whether you've seen the etched glass down the side. It's for the Code Building Society. It's just really, really beautiful. It's the kind of thing that would just disappear overnight with a new tenant owner. And then the first thing we knew about it was that I hear as well, though I don't know, I've not seen it, but I've heard that on the first floor was a magnificent wood panelled boardroom, which was for the old Cone Building Society. I just feel that we should write raising concern to the Marsden and including the listing that we've got from our list of non-designated heritage assets, so they're aware that we're interested and we care.
Yes,
I know it's still need to do with this planning application, but it does sadden me that this building might become. It would make an absolute wonderful museum. If we had so much money, if we had a dream amount, it would be an absolute fantastic set. But that's in the clouds.
so we're not saying anything, just,
I think we just. The society is that we are concerned with what will happen to where they are now, the old buildings, offices, whether they've still got the panel boardroom, what I don't know. That could very quickly become a problem.
Chairman, can I make a suggestion? That for obvious reasons, we keep that conversation about what's happening to the old building separate from the planning application, because that's no bearing on it at all, and we can't use it as a reason to turn it down.
No.
But when Gina gets back, could we not ask Gina to write Martin on behalf of the Down Council and say we do have concerns of what they have their existing building in the future to do with it, and could be sharing with us their intentions of what they intend to do with the building, whether they intend to reduce the sale or stay in or whatever, and ask the question and get Gina to write officially from the Down Council.
I would be glad that the officers from Nelson into there.
Northern Ireland.
And we have to use that course of action, yeah. But we're not saying we're opposed to it. No comment. Yeah. The next one's the advertising concept for the same building. Let's display two illuminated facing signs and one illuminated projecting sign.
So there was included both of them.
Don't think we have a problem with that. From memory, I don't think that would be it's not equal to around
Well, we'll no comment then. Is that okay? Respondents received with got some correspondence received about a beauty wildflower project on Valley Street. Yes,
This is just where the little person is trapped by the big corporation. So there's a chap, it's not a very big piece of land. I'm sure it's probably only the size of 2 or 3 of these tables. It's nothing, but it was covered in dog poo, litter and sadness. So this chap took it upon himself to tidy it up, and he cleared it up, he weeded it, and he sowed these beautiful wildflowers. I don't have a picture of that, but he sowed these wildflowers, and then it was so sad. Because I'm not laughing cruelly, it's just so sad. Because he like put effort into this, he worked on it with his grandchildren, it was lovely. And then Electricity North West came along with a load of glyphosate and literally killed the lot. So then he started writing to me to see whether I knew anybody at Electricity North West, and I didn't, but the climate officer at Pendle did. And so he got this letter to say, we're happy to call off the glyphosate people as long as you'll be covered by the insurance. Now, he doesn't actually guard this thing. He just literally litter picks it and takes the rubbish off it, and he scatters some wildflower seeds. He doesn't dig it or anything. That's all he does to it. And I just feel it would be a wonderful thing as part of the sort of rewilding of Cone, as part of the wonderful nature recovery, which has been found in little pockets all over Cone. If we could support it, I'm sure it would be able to be easily and probably freely covered within our insurance.
Double check.
Chairman. Sarah.
Yeah, I read this, and I think this is in Waterside.
It is.
So I was thinking, well, if it's Waterside, you can come under the Waterside neighbourhood action with liability. So if this is what he would like to do, there's just stipulation that you would have to wear a tabard.
Okay.
And you'd have to tell us when he's going out.
Okay.
And then that would be fine.
Well, that sounds like it's solved without the town council involvement. Alice, what I'll do is I'll email you, and I'll email him at the same time, and sort of like virtually introduce each other, because it would just be lovely if the little person could win.
And this is the sort of interaction that we want.
Yes.
Individuals around in there today.
Chairman, I think that might be an amicable solution, because gone down council street, we are only covered for the way of the we are not covered. And as regards, it basically suggests a grant rate for the opinion, it's suggesting a grant rate for the public liability insurance if it was needed. With it being an individual, would qualify for that, because it's got to be an organisation for it. But I think that, Sarah, Alice is probably a way forward. But can I just say, Chairman, I think that the electrical tech has been a bit pedantic there, because I feel quite sure that their own existing public liability insurance, which they must have by law on that piece of land, would cover someone going on there and doing a bit of gardening anyway. I can't see why the electric company's own public liability would be covered, because if it isn't insured for public liability, it damn well should be, because someone could walk on
Thank you.
and get electrocuted. So I think it should be covered on their end. I think it'd be a bit pedantic.
It's gone backwards and forwards on
Yeah.
this, and we just love to find a resolution.
Item 21, items for the future month's agenda. Have anybody got any issues that you want to add to the agenda? Yes, Ian?
I don't know if it needs to be put onto the agenda or not. Town centre, Richmond Court, and the big tree in the centre, that's a beautiful area. Would it be possible to have a bench there? Because, it would be a perfect place to have a sit down now. As it is, you've got shores there, everything. There's nowhere to sit down.
We can ask the landowner the questions. We have got potentially 2 benches that have been taken out from around what was the glass box, and we're waiting to see Penny Watts put them back in the new flagged area, but we may be able to relocate them to Richmond Court, so we'll see where we get to.
It's okay for the pearl that's the landlord wants. Yes, Alice.
Just a question on Richmond Court. There is an awful barrier, plastic barrier, it's very dirty and unsightly there. Is there anything that we can do with that?
Well,
The
it's
one that having the bid
I've finished.
by the chemist.
Yeah.
It's to stop people parking.
It looks.
County Class says he knows he does accident.
You can let me. And so, you probably remember that vehicles used to pull in at the side of the chemist and block part of the road, and if a bus came on, they struggled to get past, they ended up congesting, all sorts of things. So I requested a variance to be put in place, because originally I said, can you not just take out the turning altogether and just put pavement there? No use to anybody, you've got a delivery bay right next to it, so it's not an issue to have that. And he said, we can't put pavement back, needs to do a TRO, no complicated paperwork. And I said, fine, but can you do something just to prove that it's called construction? So that's when the massive barrier arrived. And he said, we'll put it in for a few weeks, see what happens. And I think up to about 2 years, it's still there.
2.5 years.
Yeah, so I was told that he would have to use it to do the TRO, put payment back. I don't think that ever happened, so it needs the county council to follow it. Yeah, so that's fine.
Should we write to the county council?
Please, yeah.
Thing is, if you look at it now, you see all see, especially in the evening, you'll see cars that pull up on that junction. They're just getting out and going into either chemist or going into the shop opposite the market hall. So it's just like a free roll in the evening.
Yeah, okay.
We asked for that, but we did not want to do it, did we?
Just put the pavement back. Just put the pavement back.
Stopping and driving it, pulling it. That's all I've got, let's go.
Yeah, but we want them to put the pavement back, because that would make sense. Okay.
But yeah, that's why we wanted to stop it, because the barbers used to go straight in and park the big, vans.
Well, that's what the just think about the star there.
Well, it'll mess the paving up, won't it? Yes, Alice.
Can we agree that the town council will grant an intent to commission or to see where we're going with this?
I'll second that.
Yeah, but as far as I know, when going back to when they built the health centre before the Richmond before Oregon, Ashmark, and the Kemper Council, I think there's an issue with there never being a stopping no football in there on the Richmond Road. I think that is the issue.
Yeah, that's what it is, TRO.
So what can we do to,
We need to speak about that. We need to make
yeah, to stop it up? Yeah, yeah, it's not too. Not that. Well, the town date for the next meeting is Tuesday, 21st of April at 6:30. Now, the next item is exclusion of the public. So, thank you,